We're back with another edition of New York Sports Rapid Rundown. I hope everybody had a great week and enjoyed watching sports around the teams here in the New York metro area. Plenty to talk about this week. We're going to do it with a fantastic sports reporter, host, and content creator. Her name is Aliyah Funschelle, and she joins me now in studio. Aliyah, what's going on?
Hey, nothing. I'm glad to be here. I'm so excited. I feel like we always see each other out and about, so finally locked down a time.
Yeah, we see each other at different events, Liberty games, so we've seen each other over the years. And then a good friend of ours here at the SNY studios, Justin, told me months ago, he's like, you got to have Aliyah on.
Oh, yeah.
And then we made it happen. Here you are. How's your summer going? How's that been going for you?
So busy. You know, I haven't really been home for more than 3 consecutive days at a time until now. Wow. I was in Vegas for Summer League, Phoenix for W All-Star, and just kind of all over the place and at every WNBA game you can imagine. So it's been a busy few weeks, few months. So.
Well, look, busy is good. Better be busy than not busy. But we're going to get right into it, Aliyah. And this week, we're going to talk about a bunch of things. You just mentioned WNBA games, Liberty. They are red hot.
Oh, yeah.
They're looking unstoppable right now. The Giants and Jets are going to play each other in their final preseason game. But first, we got to talk some baseball. We're going to talk some New York baseball. And Aliyah, the New York Yankees, they're back in first place in the American League East. Aaron Judge, he's on pace to hit over 60 home runs again. Jazz Chisholm just returned to the lineup from the injury list. Do you believe the Bronx Bombers can finish the season strong and wrap up the AL East, or are you still unsure after what we saw from this team where they had a midsummer swoon back in June and July?
Yeah, I mean, one thing about me, since I'm not, a diehard Yankees fan, is I'm not delusional. I see a lot of delusion in New York sports. I am a victim to the delusion when it comes to the basketball teams here. But I mean, Aaron Judge, he's not just the best show in New York, he's the best show in baseball, and honestly, the best show in sports right now. And I think that he's having a historic season, and I think he wants to leave it all out there and bring a championship back to New York.
Well, that's the thing he keeps talking about. People will bring up about the numbers with him and how great it is to see him on this run again. But he keeps bringing up the fact that none of this matters unless he wins a championship.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to use this because you mentioned this word here. You said the word delusion, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Yankee fans, and I say this kindly and with a lot of love, they always think they're going to win.
Yeah.
Do you think this team, with the way Aaron Judge is playing, can win?
I think they need to not get too ahead of themselves, obviously back to being the best team, but also they need to do the little things right. And I think sometimes they're their own worst enemies. And it's just, get back to the fundamentals and don't slip up the fundamentals, the little things. That's what makes a championship caliber team. It's not the big performances. On any given night, there's so many games in the MLB. They're playing every single night, which blows my mind. But anyone can have a big game, have a big stretch of games, a big series. But what team is going to be doing every little fundamental thing right to then secure that championship?
Well, that's the thing. In the postseason, you're 100% right. It matters about the little things, the timely hitting, the good pitching. That's what you want to see. And the Yankees, we haven't seen that from them recently in the postseason, so maybe we see it this year. Let's also talk about the Mets because they started a 10-game road trip on Thursday. It's going to be a tough one. They took 2 out of 3 from the Orioles. They split the first 2 games of their series with the Padres. They're still behind the Braves for the 3rd and final wildcard spot. What do you need to see from the Mets? You talked about what you need to see from the Yankees, but what do you need to see from them over the rest of this road trip that will have you saying, okay, this is a playoff team that you believe they can make the playoffs?
Yeah, I feel like from a Mets fan perspective, I'm close with a lot of Mets fans, they're not as delusional, but sometimes they have those delusions, and then 24 hours later, they're like, this is the worst team I've ever seen. We're not going far at all. And so I think with the Mets is they need to finish games. Sometimes they'll start strong, but they leave way too many runners on base. They have so much unfinished business every single game where it's like, that's it? Like, that's all you're going to give us? Like, it started so well. And I just think doing that, and I think they just need to go out and win and continue to be competitive even when something slips up.
Yeah, I would agree with all of that. And I think one of the things you mentioned with that, right, as we even look at some Mets highlights here, is that accurately describes the Mets fans. And I can say that because I grew up a Mets fan. And yes, 1 minute it could be everything's great. The next minute the sky is falling.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. They've left a lot of runners on base. Sometimes the bullpen hasn't been strong. They need to finish games. We'll see what they can do. Look, New York, you know what New York is hoping for? Not to be delusional, and that the Mets and the Yankees both make the playoffs. We'll see if both teams are able to do that. Okay, next up, we're going to talk some football, NFL, off the baseball, onto the football. NFL season right around the corner, Aliyah. We're going to kick off this football talk with the Jets. So we won't get to see Aaron Rodgers in any preseason game action. And the Jets, they basically haven't played any of their starters this preseason. So considering they're going to have Rodgers back under center this year in 2024, what are your expectations for Gang Green this season? I know you told me your father is a Jets fan.
Yes.
Hopefully he's not delusional, not a delusional Jets fan. No disrespect to Mr. Funschelle. But what is your expectations for the Jets this season?
Yeah, I think I'm coming at this from a very mild approach because I've seen, oh, we're going to win the Super Bowl, or, oh, no, like, we're not going to do anything. And so I feel like delusion, I need to stop saying that word but when you live in New York, that is just a constant state you are in. But the Jets, I mean, I think it's a great, idea to not play any of them in these preseason games. I was at the first game of the season when Aaron Rodgers did get hurt, heartbreaking. But I do think with them not playing, they're going to need to have time to gel together. There's players coming off of injury. There's obviously Aaron Rodgers, but Breece Hall, I did cover him when he was in high school, and he is phenomenal, but he was injured all of last year. And so I think once they're all gelling again and playing together as a unit, they can go pretty far, but they also are in a very tough division where it's like you can only go so far until you're meeting up with Josh Allen, and he's honestly a better quarterback in my opinion right now than Aaron Rodgers because he's healthy and he has a better running game. So I don't know. I feel like it will be a great season, but it's not going to be a breeze.
Not going to be a breeze. Okay. Are you willing to say Super Bowl for the Jets? Like something? You're like, no, I'm not willing to go there.
No,
okay.
Not willing to go there. But I think like maybe a deep playoffs run. Hopefully.
Deep playoff. Hey.
We'll see.
Jets fans have not seen the playoffs in quite some time, so I personally feel like they should take the deep playoff run.
Yeah, that's a good in between.
Yeah, but some people are going to say Super Bowl, so that's going to happen. Let's look at the Giants. Obviously, 2023 was a disappointment for Big Blue. They were coming off a strong 2022 season that saw them reach the postseason and actually saw them win a game against the Vikings. What are your expectations for the G-Men in 2024? Do you see them bouncing back or not? You're smiling, laughing, which makes me think that you don't take them seriously.
No, okay. I feel so bad because I do have a lot of Giants fans in my life as well, but this whole season is going to be a bounce back season. I don't think they should expect any more than that. I mean, Saquon leaving, that is heartbreaking. I really feel for those fans. Not only did he leave, he left to their worst enemy. And, that's going to really take a big hit. But also Daniel Jones, I don't know if you saw the other day, Sauce actually was asked about him.
I saw that.
And it was the most awkward 3-minute response I've ever seen. He truly couldn't find anything great to say about him. And so I just think they don't have what it takes. He has way too many turnovers. It's going to be a rough season. And I would love to be wrong, but I don't know if I will be.
When you say rough, how rough? Because I've heard anything in terms of what people think it could be as far as wins. My friend Dexter Henry, who does sports betting, he said he thinks 3 or 4 wins rough. He thinks that rough. Do you see it that rough or no?
I could, just because there are so many teams that I just feel like have gotten so strong in this off season. And I mean, not only that, but the drama of even Hard Knocks. I feel like so many teams have a chip on their shoulder because they got to see the inside workings of how things are done and what's said about other teams. And I don't know, I like the drama, maybe because I'm a basketball fan. There's a lot of drama in basketball with players finding out about stuff and playing with the chip on their shoulder. But these other teams are just so strong. They're going to want to just, steamroll right through that part of their schedule. So maybe 4 or 5 I would give them.
Yeah, Aliyah giving no hope to the Giants fans.
I'm sorry, everyone.
Here at all. She gives some hope to the Jets fans, said a deep playoff run. Giants fans, not so much. We'll see how both football teams do. It's going to be a lot of football talk coming up in the next couple of weeks. Okay, this is Aliyah's favorite sport, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
And my favorite sport as well, which is basketball. So we get to talk some hoops. And we got to talk about the New York Liberty. coming into Saturday, team has won 8 straight games. They are red hot. Best record in the W, Aliyah. They've won their last 2 games without their leading scorer, Sabrina Ionescu. In your view, the Liberty, who are 25-4 right now, what makes this team so special? Because they're looking like a special team right now. What makes them so special?
Yeah, I think last year was the year that everyone thought they would be doing what they're doing this year. But when you assemble a super team like they did with Stewie and Jonquel Jones and Courtney Vandersloot, they made a deep run. I mean, they were in the finals, but I think this year they look so much more comfortable with each other. They know what role they play, but they're so interchangeable where it's like, if Sabrina's down, we will step up and we will have someone shooting these threes and making them in clutch moments. If Jonquel's out, Stewie's going to go big. And so I think just the comfortability of really having each other's backs and just being role players and being put into all these different positions. Like Stewie can play any position. And so I think that's what's really going to take them far is that, when injury does come, someone's going to step up.
Yeah, they've got the versatility. They've got the depth. We've seen that this season. We just talked about Sabrina Ionescu not playing the last couple of games. We've seen Benijah Laney Hamilton. She's been out for a while, and other players have stepped in, and that's been really great for the Liberty. So I think when you talk about the Liberty, right, the other great discussion this season around the W, I'll say, is, okay, who's the favorite to win the title? Some people are going to say the Liberty, because they got the best record. Some people are going to say the Aces because they're the defending champions, back-to-back defending champions, going for a three-peat. So do you look at this upcoming postseason for the Liberty as one where they should win the title? And also, who's their biggest threat to them accomplishing that goal? Yeah,
I think obviously as a reporter, I'm taking any of my fandom away from my opinion. And it's not going to be as easy as some people might think for the Liberty because they're doing great right now. But playoff basketball is just so different. And the Aces, I mean, Asia Wilson, she carries every night. But even if she isn't, their roster is so deep that someone else is going to step up and have a big night. And they have a lot of veterans on the team. They've been in this position. They know what it takes to win. But that's even getting a step ahead of myself because the Connecticut Sun, they put up a good fight last year against the Liberty in the semifinals. And I think that's a big roadblock for them is the Connecticut Sun. You have Alyssa Thomas and DeWanna Bonner, but then Dejanay Carrington, who has my vote for most improved player, she's the glue of that team right now. She is doing the dirty work. She's doing all the things that might not show up on the stats, and that's what it takes to win games. And I think that will be very dangerous in the postseason.
Yeah, and then they made the addition of getting Marina Mabry, right, who I think also helps them offensively, and I'm intrigued to see how that plays out. In Connecticut, they've been in some close games with the Liberty. They just haven't been able to get over the hump. You wonder if they're the biggest threat to them, at least in the Eastern Conference.
Definitely.
Minnesota's also beat the Liberty twice this year. That's another team I think you could watch out for.
Well, and in Phoenix, I mean, Diana Taurasi, I don't know how many years she has left, but if this is one of her final years, which I'm sure it is, she's going to want to go all out. But also, Natasha Cloud, I've talked about this before, but there are just some players where no matter what team they're on, there's a certain team that they're going to play extra hard against. And for some reason, the New York Liberty is Natasha Cloud's team that she will play extra hard. She will just go off. And so I think, that's also a threat right there.
Team that they might not want to see in the first round. We did see Natasha Cloud give her best when she was with the Mystics last season, so we saw that. One last quick thing for you on the WNBA for me, because you're somebody who's really in this space and really does a lot of great work in this space. What has it been like for you watching the league and the rise of the league? I would say, I don't like that people say a lot that, it's risen in the last year. No, it's been rising for quite some time. What has it been like for you watching over the last, let's say, 5 years, watching that rise of the WNBA and all the interest and energy around it right now?
Yeah, the last 5 years have been amazing. I mean, I've always loved the WNBA for not just the product on the court, which I'm very adamant about, that it's a super competitive game, but also off the court. They are some of the biggest advocates for all things social justice or just for the youth. They are amazing people off the court, and I think that it translates. And it's been really cool the past year to see the growth happen. I mean, I have a vlog from 2021 when I was at a Liberty game and it was nearly empty to now. But I also think it's not just one player, one or two players. It's investment. And because there's been great personalities, there's been great players, but now it's just the brands and investment in time and money that's going to make it explode even more. And obviously, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese has been great, but even the years before that, it's just been, you know, trending upwards, and the momentum has not stopped.
No, it hasn't stopped. And to your point, you've seen what happens when you invest in women's sports and what can happen when you have that investment. And so it's been beautiful to watch with the W. We'll see what happens with the Liberty, this final stretch of the W season. A lot of games in a short period of time, but it's going to be really fun, and we'll see if the Liberty can bring home a championship to New York, because I think they're the closest team to doing that. But we will see. We shall see. Okay, Aliyah, we got a bonus topic. I like to do this with our guests, where we talk a little bit something about what's going on with you, maybe something that people don't know. When I look at you, and I say this with all the love, you are one of the premier content creators in New York sports.
Thank you. That's so nice.
Yeah, well, hey, it's the truth. I always see your great videos on social media, all the platforms. I got to ask you, when it comes to creating great sports content, particularly for social media, what's the key to making your content stand out? Because a lot of people make content, but they're always trying to figure out, how do I make this stand out? How do I make this connect with the people I want it to connect with? So maybe don't give up all the secrets.
Yeah, no.
But what's the secret sauce for you?
Oh, I have quite a few ingredients to my secret sauce, I would say. One thing is I always keep my head on a swivel. I mean, I played basketball, and that's what they tell you, keep your head on a swivel. But in content terms, that's looking around and finding moments that other people might not notice. Like Sabrina interacting with a Girl Scout, and that went viral, or something funny happening on the bench when everyone's like watching on the court. So I think just looking for little moments and giving those little moments significance is huge. Another thing is I try not to take myself too seriously. I have a pretty goofy personality, but I know some people, when they get into the position of, okay, they're getting credentialed for games, they're getting all this amazing accesses, they kind of let it get to their heads. Whereas me, I'm like, I want to portray this as authentically as possible. I want the fans to make it feel like they're getting this opportunity with me. So you'll see me like just not taking myself too seriously and having fun and showing a different perspective and not trying to be so buttoned up all the time. And I think that really helps.
Yeah, I think if you're too buttoned up, I think if you take yourself way too seriously in any of this stuff with content, you know, just don't be that boring. You don't have to do that. Like, you just don't have to be that boring.
Exactly.
And to the point that you're making, right, it's going to allow the viewers to connect with you more and the work that you do. What has it been like for you just getting feedback from viewers about your content? Have you seen that sort of relationship build as you've been creating more content?
Yeah, it's so cool, because I'll have people, like one time I was at Madison Square Garden washing my hands in the bathroom, and someone's like, I love your videos. And I'm like, thank you so much. But it's also cool to see the investment into my family life and my personal life of these sports fans. And you mentioned my dad earlier. He's the biggest Knicks fan I've ever met. He's the reason why I love basketball. And he has full tattoo sleeves, and he's the biggest Clyde Frazier fan in the world. And I've had the privilege of meeting Clyde a few times. So the last time I saw him, I'm like, hey, like, my dad, like, he knows that my dad loves him. I've spoken to him about that before. So I was able to get his signature for my dad's tattoo. So my dad put it on his arm sleeve, Clyde's signature on his sleeve. And I think now the Knicks fans will come up to me in sports bars and be like, your dad's tattoo is amazing. I don't even know this person, and they're telling me this. So I think just like, really, they can relate, because I'm a big sports fan at heart. And so, yes, I have all this cool access, but I'm still, you know, fangirling or giving back to like the biggest sports fans I know.
I think another thing you brought up there, that's, for me, I kind of connected what you just said there, that I think is so important. I think a lot of times in any media, whether it's social, whether it's what I do here in the studio, I think people forget sometimes that why you do this is because you love sports.
Yeah,
you love sports, right? And I try to never lose sight of that. Like, yes, I'm still a fan first. Yes, I still love doing this, and I'm going to be journalistically objective, but we're still fans.
Exactly.
And that's okay, and that makes you connect. And that's really dope that you got to connect with Clyde in that way.
Thank
and
you.
also your dad getting that addition to his tattoo.
Yeah.
Shout out to Mr. Funschelle.
Oh,
again.
yeah.
How are you feeling? Before I let you go real quick, I'm going to throw in one other thing, because I know you're a big Knicks fan.
Oh,
Your dad's a big Knicks fan. You just told me, and I know Clyde, who's amazing to talk to, likes having those interactions. How are you feeling about the Knicks coming up this year?
I am so excited. And we use the word delusional. I was, you know, calling out Jets fans and Yankees fans, but I am a delusional Knicks fan.
So are you going to say that they are going to win the title? Are you willing to say that?
This might be the year. I mean, we say that every year, but I love the team chemistry of the Nova Knicks. You have Jalen Brunson taking a pay cut just to try to win a championship. So their energy is next level. And I was at Fanatics Fest last week, and Clyde was in these conversations, and he was saying that Jalen reminds him a lot of the great Knicks that are in the rafters at the Garden. And so I think he has the whole support system behind them. They have the team chemistry, so now it's just executing and also not getting injured, not playing our guys too much. But that's a whole nother story for another day.
Hey, for New York basketball, it feels like it's a good time with the Liberty, with the Knicks. It just really feels like it's a good time. You're going to be covering a lot of it. That is, for everybody, the great Aliyah Funschelle, sports host, reporter, content creator. Please check out her work. She's one of the best in the Big Apple doing what she does. Aliyah, I got to thank you for coming up to the New York Sports Rapid Rundown. I appreciate you the first time. I'm glad we made it happen.
Yes.
Shout out to your guy, Justin, who told us to make it happen. We got it to go down. So we'll have to do it again. I have to have you back up here again.
Thank you so much for having me.
Appreciate you. Again, check out the work of the great Aliyah Funschelle. She's one of the best. We will see you all next week on the New York Sports Rapid Rundown.